privilege to be here. One thing that went unsaid is I too am a Wake County resident, so it's glad to be with you and amongst friends. Patriots, we have a fight ahead of us. We have a lot of work to do between now and Election Day. And as we look at where we're at on Election Day, the election actually starts just in a few weeks. We're talking about weeks, not months, to when the election actually starts. The first ballots of this election cycle drop on September 6th. We're talking a matter of weeks between now and Election Day starting. So what are we doing? What are we doing to make sure that we're organized? Well, you guys are doing it. You guys are the folks who are ready. You guys are the folks that are ready to make sure that we have the poll workers, the poll judges, and make sure we've got those poll greeters out there, but then making sure that we're working with the Trump campaign and all other campaigns up and down the ballot to get out the vote. From the state party perspective, we're singularly focused on these two activities: getting out the vote, protecting the vote. Everything else starts to become a distraction. If we're not focused on winning, we are distracted. Because this election, you know it just as well as anybody else, because you're here. This election is not just the most critical election, the most important election of our lifetime. This could end up being the last election of our lifetime if we don't make sure that we get out the vote and protect the vote, make sure Donald Trump wins, make sure Mark Robinson wins, and all the other Republicans up and down the ballot. We have good Republican candidates across the ballot that need your help. We just heard from Mike. Mike's got a tough fight ahead of him up in North Wake. What are we going to do to make sure we get Mike across that finish line and keep the supermajorities in our legislature? You see what the legislature has done time and time again to make sure that we have the quality of life that continues to be attractive to businesses across the country to come here. Now that's a twofold problem though. The good thing is we see the businesses, we see the growth, but we also see the influx of people coming to our state, especially here in Wake County. We got a lot of people who don't necessarily share the same political ideology or perspectives. So make sure that we've got a more fight in front of us to get out that vote. We also have an influx of people coming across our state and retirees. We welcome a lot of them because they share our values, and we're seeing it along the coast. This election cycle is really going to come down to 250,000 people, and what do? And a lot of them are right here in Wake County. You see what the task is in front of us, especially with Biden and everything he's done. My counterpart over on the Democrat Party tried to suggest that the price increases that we are all experiencing, that we're all suffering under, is because of greedy corporations wanting to price gouge. One, completely intellectually dishonest, if right not just a blatant lie on her part. You see what we're living under is the direct policy decisions of Joe Biden on day one, canceling the Keystone Pipeline and pursuing Green New Deal energy policies that drove up the cost of energy, that drove up the cost of everything that we pay for, where families are experiencing about $1,200 more per month for a family of four for the same goods and services than they did 4 years ago. Folks, that's an astounding number. Our paychecks didn't go up by $1,200 per month. Expenses did, so our take home is far less than it ever was. And then you start looking at the southern border. The damage that has been done to the southern border is astounding.
What southern border?
There is no border, is there? You have individuals walking across that open border month after month, day after day, to the tune of over 15 to 16 million plus illegal immigrants that have come across that southern border. Stop for a moment. That's the size of both North Carolina and South Carolina populations combined.
Wow.
The entire populations of North Carolina and South Carolina have now come across our southern border. For many of them, they come to America for the same pursuits of a lot of us. The American dream, and to be able to achieve that. We welcome immigration. We welcome it, but we'll do so in a lawful manner. Those that have come across the southern border illegally, There is a process, there is a procedure to become Americans, to assimilate to our society. But we have too many that are also coming across that border with nefarious purposes and intent. And those are the folks that scare us the most. These are the folks where ISIS just last week, 8 of them walked across the southern border, apprehended, and then released to say, hey, come back, we've got a court date for you. Really? They're really going to show up to a court? Just in our own state, Gates County, not too far away. An individual that was apprehended and on the terror watch list. Why is he here? What is he doing? Why is he on the terror watch list? And again, released. Folks, we are in a battle nationally and within our own state where the consequences couldn't be any higher. So what are we going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Elect Republicans. Every cycle, there's one thing that always crushes my soul. We have an election, the next day I'm out, see a friend, family member, and they tell me, oh yeah, there was an election yesterday, wasn't there? I used to get mad at them. I used to get upset with them. Like, really? We just spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to tell people about this election. What rock were you living under? But then it was, that's my fault. I didn't open my mouth. I didn't make sure that they knew there was an election. I didn't get out to them. I didn't talk to them. So what are we going to do to make sure on November 6th we don't have that friend, that family member, that person that we go to church with that says, oh yeah, there was an election. What are we going to do to make sure that we're getting out there? And I commend Sandy and all of our folks, here. You're doing a great job making sure, again, we're getting organized, that we're making sure that we've got those individuals getting out the vote, supporting our candidates up and down the ballot. We've got a major job in front of us, especially here in Wake County, where we're outnumbered. But the results of Wake County are so important. If we do not get the vote out of Wake County, and you already know this, we lose elections statewide. Donald Trump loses. Mark Robinson loses. All of our candidates up and down the ballot. I just saw Luke Farley. Okay? And I thought I saw Michelle. Yep, Michelle. Yeah. We have great candidates up and down the ballot that are dependent upon what you are going to do. And what are you going to do to make sure that on November 6th you don't have that friend, that family member that comes up to you and says, shoot, I didn't know there was an election. If you're not voting by absentee by mail, first day of early vote, October 17th. I want to see everybody get out there on day 1 of early vote and go vote. We're going to run up the score, and as President Trump says, we're going to make it so big. We're going to swamp that vote. We're going to overwhelm them at the ballot box. So make sure that when you go vote, you're doing so not by yourself. If you're driving in a car and you've got open seats, shame on you. You better make sure that when you go vote, you've got a car full that you're taking with you. Make it an event. Go out to lunch. And then make sure the next day and the next day and the next day you're doing the same. And you're taking a car full and go vote. Because this election is too important otherwise. When we look at the devastation that this country has experienced, I am grateful that we've got strong leaders here in North Carolina, especially on the legislature, who continue to make sure that they're lowering the taxes, making the investments in our education, making sure that we have school choice to be able to put our children in an opportunity to succeed, not just continue with the same status quo failed policies that we've seen time and time again that the Democrats want to perpetuate. Republicans are going to continue to put forward a family-first agenda, focusing on the economy, focusing on public safety, and focusing on our children's education to make sure that we make North Carolina a great place to live and a great place to invest and a great place to raise a family. This is where I've chosen to raise my family. North Carolina has adopted me. I grew up an Army brat and moved time and time again. And when it was time to put down roots, this is where we put down our roots. Why? Because North Carolina is a great place to live, and I want to make sure to keep it that way, just as all of you do. So again, as we look ahead, what are we going to do to make sure that we win on November 5th, and we don't have that friend asking, oh, there was an election on November 6th. Folks, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. It is important, and thank you, Sandy, for your leadership. God bless.